Welcome to Hockey Wiz Talks podcast. Today I'll be talking about the buyout candidates for every NHL team. Most NHL teams are very tight on cap space, so I'll be going around the league to see what players should be bought out by each NHL team. Anaheim Ducks, Ryan Kesler. Even though Ryan Kesler is on long-term IR, he should be bought out because he has a no movement clause, which means the Anaheim Ducks would be forced to protect him in the expansion draft. The buyout would cost $2.25 million per season until 2024. Arizona Coyotes, Niklas Jarmelson. Niklas Jarmelson isn't worth the $5 million he's getting paid this season, so the only way to get him off the roster is by buying him out. The buyout would cost $6.67K per season until 2022. Boston Bruins, John Moore. John Moore is getting paid $2.75 million per season until 2023 to essentially sit on the bench for the Boston Bruins. A buyout would cost $805K per season until 2026. Buffalo Sabres, Kyle Okposo. Kyle Okposo hasn't lived up to the expectations of the contract he signed back in the summer of 2016. A buyout would cost $1 million per season until 2026. Calgary Flames, Milan Lucic. Milan Lucic will definitely be bought out before the expansion draft because he has a no movement clause and carries a $5.25 million cap hit until 2023. Buying out Lucic would cost $500K per season until 2026. There aren't any players that need to be bought out on the Carolina Hurricanes. Chicago Blackhawks, Brent Seabrook. Brent Seabrook is one of the most overpaid defensemen in the NHL, and with the Blackhawks rebuilding, it makes the possibility of a buyout very likely. Buying out Seabrook would cost $708K per season until 2028. Colorado Avalanche, Erik Johnson. With a crop of talented young defensemen coming up, Erik Johnson is no longer needed. Erik Johnson is no longer needed. If they can't trade Erik Johnson, a buyout is very possible. A buyout would cost $2 million per season until 2026. There aren't any players that need to be bought out on the Columbus Blue Jackets. No buyouts are required on the Dallas Stars. The Detroit Red Wings also don't need to buy out anyone. Edmonton Oilers, James Neal. While James Neal is a good power play specialist, he is useless 5-on-5 and isn't worth the $5.75 million cap hit. Therefore, he should be bought out. If the Oilers buy out James Neal in 2021, it would cost a cap hit of $1.9 million per season until 2025. And now a word from our sponsor. Check out my hockey blog at hockeywiztalkshockey.blogspot.com. Also, visit my Facebook page at Mr. HockeyWiz777 and my Instagram, Mr. HockeyWiz77. Florida Panthers, Anton Strawman. With the additions of Radko Gudas and Marcus Nudovara, that makes Anton Strawman a prime candidate for a buyout in 2021. A buyout would cost $1.5 million until 2023. LA Kings, Dustin Brown. Dustin Brown had a great career as an LA King, but he is no longer worth what he is being paid. Buying out Dustin Brown would cost $1.33 million per season until 2024. Minnesota Wild, Victor Rask. Victor Rask has pretty much been a healthy scratch since he got to Minnesota, so he should be bought out. Buying out Victor Rask would cost $1.33 million per season until 2024. The Montreal Canadiens don't have to buy out anyone as of right now, but they should prepare to buy out Shea Weber sometime in the far future. Nashville Predators, Colton Sissons. Colton Sissons is a fourth-line player who is getting paid like a valuable role player. He is due $2.8 million per season until 2026. A buyout would cost $919K per season until 2032. There aren't any players that need to be bought out on the New Jersey Devils. New York Islanders, Andrew Ladd. Andrew Ladd has arguably the worst contract in the NHL. He is paid $5.5 million until 2023 to play in the AHL. If the Islanders buy out Andrew Ladd, it would cost $333K per season until 2026. The New York Rangers don't have anyone to buy out as of right now, but they might need to buy out Jacob Trouba when they need to re-sign Alexis Lafreniere. Ottawa Senators, Nikita Zaitsev. Nikita Zaitsev is taking away a roster spot from a better young defenseman like Eric Brandstrom, Lassie Thompson, or Jacob Bernard-Darker. If the Senators buy out Zaitsev in 2021, it would cost $1.05 million per season until 2027. And now a word from our sponsor. Check out my other podcasts on SoundCloud.com/Mr. HockeyWiz777. Philadelphia Flyers, JVR. JVR lost his spot in the lineup, and with the swarm of talented young forwards coming up for the Flyers, it makes a buyout imminent. If the Flyers buy out JVR in 2021, it would cost $1.67 million per season until 2025. Pittsburgh Penguins, Michael Matheson. While Michael Matheson might be a solid defenseman, he is signed to a really terrible contract. He is due $4.87 million until 2026. If the Penguins buy out Matheson in 2021, it would cost $1.4 million per season until 2031. San Jose Sharks, Marc-Edouard Vlasic. After being one of the most underpaid and underrated defensemen in the league for a long time, Vlasic has now become a liability for the Sharks. Buying out Vlasic would cost $1.83 million per season until 2031. The St. Louis Blues don't need to buy out any players. The Tampa Bay Lightning don't have anyone to buy out as of right now, but Tyler Johnson's contract could cause issues down the line. The Toronto Maple Leafs aren't likely to buy out anyone right now, but they might look to move a core player like Nylander or Marner due to salary cap reasons. Vancouver Canucks, Louis Eriksson. Louis Eriksson never lived up to the expectations of the contract he signed in 2016, so he is the most logical buyout candidate for the Canucks. Eriksson is due $6.67K per season until 2024. The Vegas Golden Knights aren't likely to buy out anyone right now, but they might look to move Marc-Andre Fleury before the expansion draft. There aren't any players that need to be bought out on the Washington Capitals. The Winnipeg Jets don't need to buy out any players. On my next podcast, I'll be talking about how the Edmonton Oilers can win a Stanley Cup in the future.